I want to know what it is like to be a wild thing. It may be possible to know. Neuroscience helps. So does a bit of philosophy and a lot of the poetry of John Clare. But most of all, it involves inching dangerously down the evolutionary tree and into a hole in a Welsh hillside or under the rocks in a Devon river and learning about weightlessness, the shape of the wind, boredom, mulch in the nose, and the shudder and crack of dying things. Nature writing has generally been about humans striding colonially around, describing what they see from 6 feet above the ground, or about humans pretending that animals wear clothes. This book is an attempt to see the world from the height of naked Welsh badgers, London foxes, Exmoor otters, Oxford swifts, and Scottish and West Country red deer, to learn what it is like to shuffle or swoop through a landscape that is mainly olfactory or auditory rather than visual. It's a sort of literary shamanism, and it has been fantastic fun. When we walk into a wood, we share its sensory outputs, light, colour, smell, sound, and so on, with all the other creatures there. But would any of them recognise our description of the wood? Every organism creates a different world in its brain. It lives in that world. We are surrounded by millions of different worlds. Exploring them is a thrilling neuroscientific and literary challenge. There has been a good deal of neuroscientific progress. We know, or can guess intelligently from work on parallel species, what goes on in a badger's nose and the olfactory areas of its brain as the badger shuffles through the wood. But the literary adventure has barely begun. It is one thing to describe which areas of a badger's brain light up on a functional MRI scanner as it sniffs a slug. It is quite another to paint a picture of the whole wood as it appears to the badger. 2 sins have beset traditional nature writing: anthropocentrism and anthropomorphism. The anthropocentrists describe the natural world as it appears to humans. Since they are writing books for humans, that's perhaps commercially shrewd. But it is rather dull. The anthropomorphists assume that animals are like humans. They dress them in actual, Beatrix Potter et al., or metaphorical, Henry Williamson et al. Clothes, and give them human sense receptors and cognition. I have tried to avoid both of those sins, and of course I have failed. I describe the landscape as perceived by a badger, a fox, an otter, a red deer, and a common swift. I use 2 methods. First, I immerse myself in the relevant physiological literature and discover what is known from the laboratory about the way these animals function. And second, I immerse myself in their world. When I'm being a badger, I live in a hole and eat earthworms. When I'm being an otter, I try to catch fish with my teeth. The challenge in relating the physiology is to avoid being boring and inaccessible. The challenge in saying what it's like to eat earthworms is to avoid being whimsically ridiculous. Their sensory receptors give animals a hugely bigger palette of colours with which to paint the land than that possessed by any human artist. The intimacy with which animals relate to the land gives them an authority in their painting far greater than can be assumed even by a farmer whose ancestors have turned over every clod since the Neolithic. This book is structured around the 4 ancient elements of the world, each of which has a representative animal. Earth, badger, which tunnels into the earth, and red deer, which canters over it. Fire, urban fox, bright lights. Water, otter. And air, common swift, the ultimate air-dweller which sleeps on the wing, spiralling up with the thermals at night and rarely lands. The idea is that when you get the 4 elements mixed up properly, something alchemical happens.